Hey everybody, Allie Duzette here with my girl Melisa Keenan. I love Melisa so much. She is a feminine energy coach and an intimacy coach, and geez, I love her. Melissa and I have been friends for many years now, which is like so crazy. We met through the internet, and we kind of both went through this journey of discovering that we were both too far in the masculine energy and that we had to move into our feminine energy. And Melissa's really taken the stuff that we started off as babies back then, and she's like run with it and become this like, best-selling author and like this incredible guru for people that really want to figure out the divine feminine and feminine energy. And so I wanted to have her on. Why? I'm going to show you why. Let's pull up my Astro Gold. Okay, this is the right chart. Okay, this is the Pluto return on February 20th of 2022. And hopefully you've seen some of my Pluto return videos. We're not going to talk about that right now. Right now we're talking about this right here, Venus and Mars at exactly 19 degrees in Capricorn in the 6th house. Okay, so what does this mean for everybody? Right now, Mars, the masculine energy astrologically, and Venus, the feminine energy astrologically, are coming closer, 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 closer. And on the 20th of February, they will be exact. And so what does that mean? The feminine and the masculine completely together. It can mean a lot of things. It can mean conflict for sure. All is fair in love and war, with Venus being love and Mars being war. It can mean that we're going to see some conflicts between the masculine and feminine energies within our own bodies, within our own families, within our friendships and our politics, and our, like, on a global level, we may see that. It can also mean kind of a sense of oneness. Male and female are designed to come together, right? And so we may be seeing some increased unity as well. And I think we get to choose how this shows up for us. And for me, I feel really strongly that part of the secret to handling this energy is that we need to kind of step into the appropriate polarity for us, whatever that is for you. But today we're going to talk about the divine feminine and just get a deeper feeling on what is that? What does it mean to step into feminine energy? What does that mean for perhaps women who feel like they're too far in masculine energy, or who feel like they aren't too far in masculine energy, but perhaps others might disagree, I don't know. Or, you know what I mean? That's where I was several years ago. We both were there. And I wanted to hear about, when people tell men to get in touch with their feminine side, like, what are your thoughts on that? And so we're just going to talk about it. What do you think? Can you give us kind of an overview of feminine energy? And I don't know, you can share your story or not, or whatever you want. I just want to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, you know what? I think I will share a little bit of my story because it's so pertinent to what we're talking about, and it's pertinent to your audience because your audience loves you. I've been in your audience for years now, and so I want to share how Allie has really influenced my journey. I wouldn't be standing where I am today if it hadn't been for her. She was several steps ahead of me on the journey about masculine, feminine and stuff. And if you've listened to her course on marriage, you'll hear my voice in the course. I get a lot of your clients will reach out and say, oh my gosh, I heard your voice on the course. I don't know if I told you that before. But anyway, so Allie has been a huge part of this journey for me. And I didn't even know what masculine and feminine energy was before I met Allie. As a matter of fact, I was raised in a pretty typical, traditional Western way of thinking about my body and about the world and stuff. I didn't really know very much about spirituality, but I had really hit a rock bottom when Allie came into my life. And she had just messaged me one day and was like, I'm doing this energy healing stuff, and I think it might really help you. We were such babies at that time. It was the best. I love reflecting on our journey. And so I was like, I don't know what energy healing is, but I'm open to trying anything that might bring me peace. And so we were probably just a few sessions in. And she said, I can see this angel and she's pacing back and forth over you. And she's wringing her hands out like this because she's so worried about you. And she's worried about you because you're so out of balance. You're in masculine energy. And I had no idea what that was, like what we were even talking about. So she recommended Fascinating Womanhood. And many of you who have followed her probably have heard her talk about Fascinating Womanhood. I think it's a great starter point. I think it has pros and cons. The book itself is pretty controversial, and I probably don't really recommend it very much anymore to my clients because I've found like other resources that I think maybe are more all-encompassing and applicable. But I originally got that book and I was about 20 pages in and I chucked it across the room because my response, my like survival response was so strong against my masculine, my feminine energy. I felt like feminine energy or being feminine or even being a woman was very dangerous. And it was like all about my weakness. And so trying to step into the feminine, I had felt like people were asking me to be weaker or to lose my edge or to lose my position in life that I had created or to let go of the respect that I deserved. There was like so much wrapped up in that, right? And I share that because I think it's pretty relatable. I think most of us feel kind of threatened by being woman or threatened by the feminine. So clearly since that time, I have changed a lot. It was about a year after that I was in deep prayer and contemplation and like asking like, what do I really need? Like, what is the most crucial thing I could spend my time on? And the answer was, get that book again. I had just donated it to the thrift store. I know. I was like, no, not that book. but yeah, so okay, so there's that whole journey. I'm so grateful to Allie because like I said, I probably wouldn't be here if we hadn't had all that conversation. Honestly, that led me then to understanding myself, creating a beautiful relationship with myself that used to be extremely like perfectionistic and judgmental. And I was so mean to myself, my own worst critic, right? To this loving relationship with myself. Then that led me to creating a true loving connection with my husband, which we've been able to just build on and build on and build on from that place. And ultimately at the end of the day, me doing all this work led me to creating a 6+ figure business and becoming the CEO of my own company and helping a lot of women with intimacy, with feminine energy, and helping save marriages and stuff. Like, it's just been amazing. So where should we start, Allie? Should we break down feminine, masculine concepts?
Yeah, let's just take it. Yeah, let's start there because a lot of people have a lot of confusion about what that even means.
I think it's really important when we're talking about masculine, feminine energy to almost put it in its own category. In my story, I had it all glommed together, and now we're going to separate it out because at the time I had it all glommed together. I've always been a girly girl. I've always curled my hair. I've always been into pink. Like my car when I was in high school was a Barbie station wagon. So ridiculous. None of that has anything to do with the true feminine or the divine feminine. Has nothing to do with that.
I just want to add to that.
Yes.
That was true for me too. When I first felt like God was telling me to repent for being too masculine, which is a big part of my journey with my own like healing abilities, which woke up after I stepped into my feminine energy. When God first said, okay, Allie, you're too masculine. You got to cut it out, go repent and become more feminine. And I thought, what are you talking about? I wear dresses all the time. Like I always have mascara on. What are you talking about? Guess what you look like has nothing to do with it. Like it is not, I mean, like it kind of is, it can be kind of a reflection a little bit, but like the real thing, the feminine energy is an internal essence. It's a core, it's a way of being. It's a way of existing. It's not if you're wearing a dress or not. It's not if you put on high heels. Like we all know those ladies that like put on their high heels and put on their lipstick, and they are not feminine at all. And they have feminine bodies and their souls are not, like they are not in a feminine core space. Okay, back to you.
So huge. And it's funny because when people hear about my work, I'll get people who will reach out to me and say, I've been thinking a lot about this. I just wish I painted my nails more often. Like, I'm not even kidding how many times I've heard that before. And, even in other scenarios, where someone said, I really felt that call too. And so last year I did a bunch of pageants, and like, that's great. And that probably did not help your feminine energy.
Yeah.
All of those things are great. And at the end of the day, what really matters is what fuels your heart. So as Ali said, it's an internal way of being. So I like to just separate it out by saying, okay, here's girliness or girlishness or our cultural femininity over here. And over here is feminine energy. So I actually break this into 3 pieces: cultural femininity, feminine energy, and then divine feminine. And we'll get into that.
Ooh.
But feminine energy, I like to think of as yin and yang, right? Our yin and yang symbol. And so when we talk about masculine, feminine energy, we're talking about feminine is being, masculine is doing. Feminine is going inward. Masculine is looking outward. Feminine is sensing or intuiting. Masculine is about knowledge or logic. Feminine is about flow. It's about an essence. Masculine is more about like focus, structured, accomplishment, achievement oriented. This is why, so here's a fun dynamic in a marriage where women will say, he just always tries to fix everything. That's actually his natural masculine energy coming out, because the masculine doesn't think in terms of, feelings and maybe I should just hold space for my wife. He's just thinking, oh, there's a problem here and I know how to fix it. So these are the differences that we see. And you may even notice in yourself that tendency to want to go and fix people. A friend comes to you and she's got an issue, and, and how do you respond to that? Are you able to just listen and kind of be a space, maybe empathize? Those are some feminine characteristics. Or do you start giving her a bunch of advice? That would be a masculine characteristic.
I want to jump in really quick because learning about these differences was really triggery for me. 8 years ago when I first had that call to go repent, get my act together and be female, like be feminine. And as I started researching yin and yang and looking at these kind of traditional, even like ancient Chinese philosophy and all of this stuff, and I was looking at it, and like you said, like the feminine is about being, where like the masculine is about doing, and the feminine being more about flow and intuition, and the masculine being about like logic and doing and accomplishment. And I had always been just extremely ambitious, very, very logical. I mean, I ended up getting like a bachelor's degree in science, and I actually took a logic class. And I didn't have time for it. I'd signed up for 21 credits that semester, like a psycho. And I was working also. And so I would skip that class and I like passed it. I got an A, and it's like, guess what? My little logic brain like gets it. And so for reading about this, feeling like, oh no, it's wrong for me to want accomplishments. It's wrong for me to be logical. I have to just feel these stupid emotions, which I'm like a Virgo sun. Virgos are not into that, And so for me, it was really triggery. Well, and was it triggery for you to feel that way? Or did you feel that way? Did you feel that way? That's really.
I've definitely felt super triggered. I mean, that's why I chucked the book across the room initially.
Right, because I think a lot of women feel that way. We're kind of raised, talk about cultural femininity. The cultural femininity is kind of like, girls can do anything boys can do, and you just wear a bra and lipstick while you do it, and you're exactly the same otherwise. And to kind of have to sit down and say, no, I have a lot of gifts and talents in this kind of more masculine, like mental arena, and I have this extreme like workaholism embedded into my soul where I just want to accomplish and like do.
Yeah.
And so it was really, actually, the word coming into my mind is alarming. And I think a lot of women feel this. Like, and when I look in my Facebook group and people talk about feminine energy, you can see a lot of people's hackles go up and say, like, no, you don't have to be feminine. Like, you're already female, so like you can do anything. And like, I don't know. To me, it kind of looks like, okay, maybe people don't understand what femininity is. And it's very triggering to find out when you're not in that space. And when it feels less than, and when it feels like your personality is wrong. That's what I felt for myself. I was like, God, you're telling me to actually like surgically amputate my entire personality and sense of self. Is that what you're asking me, God? Like, you want me to give up literally everything about myself that I like to be like more feminine? Like, are you what?
Well, and I want to really speak to that because all of us living today, most of us were not given the permission to be anything but a feminist, right? And I'm so grateful for the feminist movement. I'm so grateful that women have all the rights that we have now. But as a result of that, it's like the air that we breathe is constantly saying, prove yourself. Prove yourself, prove that you're as strong as a man, as smart as a man, or smarter, as capable as a man, or more capable. And so 100%, I mean, I was raised on a, yeah, exactly. It's like
That's
competition.
so true. It's made being female a competition with men, which is
Yeah.
like, that's not how it goes. Like, that's not reality.
Yeah.
We judge ourselves by those standards. And oh my gosh, sorry, I'm gonna keep talking for just 1 minute because I read a book that I'll never remember which book it is, but it's like coming into my mind right now, where it talked about how the thing about men and women is that they don't even realize that the other thinks differently. Like, for women, like, what do we really value? Well, we really like it when men have good jobs, when they're making money, when they are like really competent at stuff. And then we think, oh, well, then to attract a man, I should get a really good job and make a lot of money and be really competent. And we think like, oh, by making myself into the ideal of what I think a man should be, that will attract a man to me. But like, and yet that's not how men think. Like, men aren't like, oh man, that job is really hot. But girls are like that. Girls are like, ooh, that job is like pretty hot. It doesn't go both ways, guys.
It's so true. And then that brings in additional layers of I think judgment and stuff. Like, so if you are a woman and you are making more money than your husband and you are pursuing a career, you would never hear someone say to a man, you care too much about your career. You're putting your career before your family. If they're pursuing their career, it's like, you're such a family man. You're such a good person. But when a woman is crushing it in her business, the temptation or the judgment from others is like, oh, you don't care that much about your family.
Yeah. Oh, you must be letting your family slide. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that's that, those are the conditions that we are being brought up in. And so as a result, it's like, of course, like these things are embedded into our personality, and it's okay. It's fantastic. I'm so glad that I'm a leader because those are the things that have helped me to be a strong business owner. And that at the same time, I get to like challenge the parts that actually feel out of integrity for me, that actually where I get to go, wait a second. I actually don't like hustling 24/7, or I don't like constantly feeling the need to prove myself, like, all of these things. So this is where the third kind of femininity comes in. We've like cultural femininity, and we have to pull that out. A great question for that is, what have I believed that it means to be a good woman? Particularly that phrase, a good woman. That's where we get to look at our own cultural femininity, because it's different for everyone depending on your parents, your religious upbringing, all that kind of stuff. Then we have our feminine energy, which we just talked about that, this dance between the yin and yang, masculine, feminine. And then the divine feminine really is a dance. It is a beautiful ebb and flow between masculine and feminine inside of an individual. The thing is, and the reason that I emphasize feminine energy is because we're living in such a masculine climate where masculine energy is truly heralded above feminine energy. We're all out of balance in the masculine. So we need to call in that feminine. Sometimes we need to even swing the pendulum so that we can find what that beautiful balance and flow even looks like. A lot of times we don't even realize we're living out of alignment inside of ourselves. We think, like you said, Allie, this is just who I am, you know?
I literally thought that this was my personality, that a drive to be accomplished, a drive to study, a drive to think was part of it was my core personality. And like, it is part of my personality, but it's not all of my personality. Well, and what I also learned is that I wasn't identifying with my own identity as a woman. And as I started turning to the divine for more instructions on that, so this like crazy fascinating womanhood book, I didn't discover it right away. At first, I only had lessons like through the spirit. And then eventually I was like, can you just send me a freaking book? I like said that. And then I found that book, and I knew that it was true because I hated it. Right. And you will read that book and throw it across the room. Right. Like anyone watching, you will hate it. Everyone. It's the worst book. But as I read through the lessons, I saw clearly, like, there were places where it was nearly word for word of what I had heard, you know, in my lessons just with God. And I said, okay, this is definitely like, I'm getting repeated witnesses that this is like accurate to my own experience. So, okay, I guess that's that. I don't remember what I was saying about that, but anyways, that I thought that I just had a masculine personality. And now I feel like that's not really true. It was a deception that it was the story I had told myself. And as I have stepped more into feminine energy, and as I continue to step more into feminine energy, of course, I'm still a logical person. I still read a freakish amount of scientific literature. I love it. And guess what? You can do that and be feminine, and you're going to do it in a little bit of a different way. And you're not going to be doing it in a competitive way. We're not. And like, when I come at my things, like, I have a job of like kind of in a fixing place, but also I feel like for me, I really approach it from a space of holding space, and everything's happening at the right time, which is a really feminine take on the healing process. Like, you can be yourself and have masculine traits or qualities, but you do it in a feminine way, and you shift your core into that feminine space.
I love that, because it actually really is more about who you're being, your approach, your way of doing the thing. It's not so much about what you're doing. And it's like allowing your senses to guide your doing, rather than doing and then hoping that it creates the sensations that you want, which I think is how most of us operate, right? It's like, okay, well, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and then that's going to create the happiness that I want. It's actually like going, oh, wait, like the happiness that I want, all the sensing is here. Let me drop in. Masculine is in our head, feminine is our body and our sensations. So let me sense my way through. And then I do as a result of my being, rather than doing to prove my being.
Yeah. Here, keep going, or hold on. Let me get my baby for a second.
Oh, we love this baby. This is like the baby that is our little healing baby.
Hello. Hello. Speaking of feminine energy,
our little healing baby.
Oh.
So I know that I remember two things that you had brought up. One about, so let's now tie this to gender. And this is just what I always say is, never take my word for anything. Take the concept and then get it here, then bring it down into your heart, your womb space, and feel and sense to what's true for you. But here's how this has made sense for me. I do believe in gender. I do believe that gender is a part of our divine identity. And as such, I believe that women have a greater capacity, greater gifts and tendency towards feminine energy. And men have a greater capacity and gifts, if you will, towards masculine energy. So this is where gender kind of comes into play. People will ask me, what about if, you're talking to like a gay couple? Well, I also think that polarity really matters. Like someone needs to be in the yin, someone needs to be in the yang.
Doesn't
Otherwise their
matter
relationship
the
isn't going to
makeup
work.
of a couple, any couple. Guess what? Your boss and your employee are yin and
Yes.
yang. Like any
Yes.
relationship has yin and yang, and it doesn't matter sexuality. The polarity still matters. And it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. A parent-child relationship is a yin and yang relationship. It is in effect in every relationship.
Yeah, 100%. So then you'll say, okay, what about people who say that men need to be more in touch with their feminine side? Well, here's the thing. And we actually love this. Like we love it when our husbands are vulnerable with us. We love it when our partners are willing to actually share feelings or express much of anything as right. We love that and we want that. And we also want them to be more tender with us. We don't want them to always go into the fixing like we talked about before. So how do we then encourage that? Well, it's certainly not by nagging them through our masculine energy. Masculine, it's like a explosion, right?
You love that. I see this. I'm just thinking of, things that I've witnessed in my life where a wife is like, "You never share your feelings with me." And I'm just like, can you imagine if somebody yelled that to her? Like, it's like, "Hey, honey, you never share your feelings to me." Like, not right. Like, that will never work. What is this? But like, people do this. They nag and demand that other people share their feelings, which is the worst thing you can do for feelings for any relationship.
And again, it's like, because we don't know about this. We don't know this untapped superpower that we have within us. Literally stepping into the feminine is like a magical superpower to attract what we want and attract circumstances that are different than what we're experiencing currently. So the way that we actually can create a safety for our husbands to be able to tap into their feminine side, and we do that by being in our feminine side.
Yeah. Well, when
it's beautiful, right?
Step into their feminine energy and they step out of that masculine energy, in my opinion, it creates a vacuum. And that invites the husband to step into his masculine energy. And as he does that, and as she becomes, so here's one thing. I mean, would you say this is true? I feel like the feminine energy is a non-judgmental energy. Would you say that is true? I really feel like feminine energy at its core allows people to show up how they are, and like, yeah, they're not perfect. And sometimes they've been like really a jerk in the past. And the feminine energy holds space for that. And the feminine energy holds space for their feelings. When that husband is going into a space of blame and saying, well, it's all your fault, the feminine energy is able to hold space for that and not be angry, and is able to say, I understand that you feel that way, and I'm really sorry. Instead of getting defensive, like defensiveness is not a feminine energy. And so as wives step more into that feminine space, and husbands step more into their masculine space, I feel like there is that, in the book they call it the Pandora's box, where like suddenly he does start unloading his feelings, and like, guess what? The first things to come out are not the good feelings, because he finally feels safe to express them. But if the yin partner there can hold the space and be in the feminine, then eventually it will all just even out, so that both partners can express both yin and yang in appropriate spheres all the time and feel safe and happy to do it.
Yes, 100%. Yes, you illustrated that perfectly. So anytime somebody steps into a yang energy, there will be someone there or something there to match them in yin, and vice versa. When you show up in your relationship in yin energy, your partner will automatically step in that masculine energy. And then you can start actually like navigating, because now both of you are in like a pure energy source, and you're not in the toxic places, right? So you step out of the toxic places into this little like flow here. And we went through that for, I would say a couple of years of
The long-term
me.
process. Yeah.
It is. Yes, it is.
Years. And guess what? We have all the time that we need. So just buckle up, because this is a year's event. Yes.
And I would also say I can help speed it up. That's why I do what I do, right? Like nobody wants to go through that crap.
Also true. That is so true. You can speed it up. Even sped up though, I feel like, it's an ongoing journey.
Process.
You can't go into it thinking like, oh, I'll just, be nicer this week or something. Like it's
a transformation.
It's a transformation. Yeah, exactly.
It's not just like, oh, let me just employ a few new tools in my life. Again, that's like approaching it from a very masculine like space.
Right. You can't just go into it being like, oh, I'll just make a little tweak here, make a little tweak there, and then it'll just solve all the problems. Like it is relearning the way to exist from a new space.
And what I love about that, like I look back now and I just feel so much gratitude, because I can see that God was calling me into my divinity. Like God was calling me into my truest and highest self in those spaces. I thought my truth and my, fullest expression of me was like, kind of domineering and logical and showing how smart I was and all of that stuff. And I found out that it was so much more than that. And so for me, accessing that feminine has allowed me to tap into the divine feminine, which resides inside of me. It's just been such a beautiful journey, and it will continue to be a journey. But I will say in the beginning, where you're triggered like crazy and it's hard, like you're having this kind of almost like a tug of war in your brain, that's the real challenging part. You learn these principles about masculine, feminine. It's almost impossible to take it out of your brain and into your heart, because you've never learned how to do that before. So you have this like tug of war going on all the time. But there comes a time when you can bring it into your being. And so I'm always fine tuning, like, oh, whoops, I just definitely like stepped into masculine in that space, and that created outcomes I didn't enjoy. And now I'm going to like tweak a little and come back and ebb and flow. And my husband and I will go through that. I go through that in my business as well. But it's like now it's like just a part of the journey of me becoming like my God self, rather than feeling like such a tug of war, feeling so much pressure, feeling so much judgment, or also feeling like I was broken and I needed to fix this in myself, because really that's never true.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Oh, thank you. Okay, go back to your room. Yeah, thank you so much for that. It was so beautiful. I don't know, is there anything else that you'd like to say before we call it a day? Thank you so much for all of your time and your thoughts. And I'll mention to everybody here, of course, Melisa is, again, I mean, tell them what you call yourself. I'm not sure I said the right things.
You did fine. That was lovely. I help. My ideal is I love to serve business women to help them use their feminine energy as their 10x growth strategy. So I call myself an intimacy expert and a feminine energy expert.
I'll kiss your hand. Yeah, thank you so much. And Melisa is so great. I'm working with her right now. Love it. Okay, go to your room. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. And I'll put Melisa's links below. I am planning, so my Heal Your Marriage class, Heal Your Marriage, Heal Yourself class is just for women. I've had men buy it and then realize, oh my gosh, it's just for girls. Yeah, it's just for your wife, man. But and it's all about just healing yourself and like stepping into your feminine energy. But what I've been really aching to do with this upcoming conjunction is teach a class on just like the principles here of masculine and feminine, that will be appropriate for people who feel masculine and people who feel feminine. And you know, if you're married or not, it will be a class for everybody to come in and learn more of these principles. And I think Melisa will come in, and I think, were you gonna come be a little guest lecturer?
Yes, I'd love to. Yes.
Yes, perfect. So this will be really good. And yeah,
What's your date on that again, Allie?
the dates are not clear yet,
Oh.
so I don't know yet. It'll probably be Tuesday nights, but when we record it live. So so anyway, thank you so much for being here, Melisa. Thanks
Thank you so
everybody
much,
for tuning
Allie.
in. Bye.